Picture this. You're on your way to work, the Red Line train, the one you catch every morning. It's empty, and you sit in your usual seat. Right before you take your routine nap, a 10-year-old boy sits in the seat right next to you. His presence leaves you uneasy. You glance at him occasionally, trying to figure him out. All kinds of uncomfortable thoughts pop up in and out of your mind until finally you both catch eye. Your mind goes blank. Your anxiety is high, but after a long, awkward stare, he finally opens his mouth and asks, "Do you love me?" Why is he asking you this? You've never seen this kid before, and to your knowledge, he's never seen you. So what do you say? Do you say yes? If so, why? Are you a bad person if you say no? Are you supposed to love this boy you've never met? If so, why? Or better yet, how? What exactly is love?
Wow.
You got a whole lot of meanings to, in what capacity to who?
Love is God.
God is love.
Sacrificing, giving your all.
I think love is probably truthfulness.
I think love has a big meaning, but it's not so much of the word. It's actually the expression.
Love don't see evil.
When I think of love, I think about somebody that I care about.
It's survival.
Taking care of your family.
You show some love, you'll get some love.
Love covers a multitude of sins, unconditional.
To some, love is conditional to things like honesty and kindness. To others, it's unconditional. Which one is it? According to the Carters, Jay-Z and Beyonce, everything is love.
Sickness.
Is sickness love?
Stealing, robbing.
Is stealing love?
The murders.
What about murder? Is that love? And if not, who's to say what is and what isn't? Therefore, perspective is everything. This is Tim Cunningham. Like each of us, he has his own story. To some people, he's Minister Cunningham, an easygoing, accomplished family man with credentials to pastor a church of thousands. To others, he's known as Brassy. After watching this love story, who is he to you?
A lot of people have the legend that comes before them. And when you meet the person, you understand the legend.
It was always Tim. It wasn't never life without Tim.
He's my brother's son.
Before I ever met Tim, I always heard about Tim.
He's my mother's oldest grandchild.
From the time I was 14, 15 years old, we used to have a bunch of goals in our mouths. My son's grandmother, she used to call me that.
Tim, yeah, Brassy.
Brassy, you know. And the guys caught on to it and they just tagged me with it.
He knew about me, I knew about him, you know.
When you go down my hometown there, you'll hear Brassy stories.
The man really a living legend and people walk by him and don't even know it.
Timothy Cunningham was born on January 30th, 1952, in South Beach, Miami, Florida. He was the firstborn to his parents, Daniel and Phyllis Cunningham, and spent his early years living in the housing projects in Coconut Grove, Miami, Florida.
He was a jolly little fella. He was happy, he was contented, and that was it.
I had a good mother and father, and my father provided. My father was a man that was different than 99% of the guys you see today. He provided for his family. He was a community person. He provided for his nieces and nephews and other families in the community. When they got into stuff, they would all come to him, and he would always lead a way for them to deal with whatever the situation was.
Unlike most children, Tim spent a lot of time interacting with adults. By the age of 7, Tim was working a part-time job with his father and older cousins.
I never knew my dad to have one job. My dad always had 2 or 3 jobs. And when I was a little boy, in early elementary school, I used to go to work with him on his second job, which were cleaning up office buildings at night. When I got to a certain age, I started rebelling against that.
From birth until about 10 years old, he was a sweet little boy, in my eyesight.
In the 1960s, integration had really taken its course. Many black families were moving to more affluent neighborhoods in different cities across the nation. Tim and his family had moved from Coconut Grove to Liberty City, another Miami neighborhood. At that time, Tim's elderly influences exposed him to what some may say was unethical behavior.
About 10 or 11, we moved from the projects in Coconut Grove to bought a home out in the northwest section of Miami.
When they moved out of their neighborhood into Edison Center, and he was around, I guess, strange people.
One of my second or third grade teachers, her husband was one of the preachers. She used to have me in the second grade, sneaking out of school, jumping the fence, going down the street to her house with the key, open that door, get what she wanted me to get, and come on back in class. She used to get a class assignment, then she'll call me up there, Tim, you could do this. Go out the back gate, do this. Also, when I told you I was cleaning up those office buildings, occasionally I had some older cousins used to go with us, and they was stealing stuff out of the drawer. So the days that they wasn't coming, I was doing the same thing. It became like natural, you know.
It was there that Tim's perspective on life shifted for the first time.
During those times, they used to have the old gangster pictures on TV, and I used to be fascinated watching Jane Cagney and the gangsters, and I kind of was attracted to that lifestyle. So in my mind, that's how I was living, but I wouldn't tell anybody. People used to ask, what you gonna be when you grow up? I couldn't say nothing, because if I told them, they wouldn't, they wouldn't have been able to deal with it.
The last one we got 13, and they put 13, we got 13 and 12. Goddamn, I got 3 rings.
After meeting lifelong friend Sonny Roll, also known as Sonny Boy, Tim started running the streets.
There was different guys like Sonny Boy and his family. I got suspended in the 4th grade because we stole all the cafeteria money.
Tim like a brother, I accept him as a brother. Our relationship really grew when I started messing with his sister, and he started messing with my neighbor. So we was mutual friends, good friends, came to be partners.
Striving to be his own man, Tim constantly searched for opportunities to make money. But making money was never the only objective. He wanted to make money on his own time and in his own way.
Every society you have an upper echelon. All the money is being made and gravitated towards there. What's for the medium person and the people below is the crumbs, is what's left. All your life you hear about you work, you retire, and you live your golden retirement years. And so the people that put this together about work and put your money over here and you're gonna reap the benefit in your golden years, that money is being taken. From the time America came over here and took what they took from the Indians, and even before that, way back reading in history, you had to take a community, you had to take a territory, you had to take whatever it is you were, going at. Nobody gave it to you because you was marching. When I was preteen and teen coming up, we went out and took what we wanted from the other side of the tracks. Other folks, we took it. That was just no.
When I was coming up, I chose that path. I didn't want to accept the fact that they say, go get a job, you go work for somebody else. They would say, just go to school. When you finish school, you get a job, you go get your own business. That would have been my motivation. But I had no guidance to push me in that field.
Hello, I'm Leonard Johnson, owner proprietor of MLK Restaurant. I'm a Miami native as well, and this is our time. In this community, we've seen a lot, we went through a lot of struggle, and we're trying to bring ourselves up to do better. And I've also opened a second restaurant. My prayer for my second restaurant was always to employ more people. Because believe it or not, I have college-educated people coming in here asking me for jobs. And when I see that, it's really a problem.
I can compete against anybody on a level playing field, but if the playing field is not level, then I'm gonna make it level. I was 18 years old before I found out you're supposed to be scared of white folks. I wasn't brought up where you think anything special about them, anything. I saw what they had and I didn't mind having that, so I lived a life where I could get what they have, and anytime they have it, I could have it.
Tim's desire to do things his way constantly landed him in and out of prison. Embezzlement, fraud, and theft were the primary charges against him.
Credit cards were just coming out, just like they doing the cyber crime stuff today. When I was 14, 15, 16 years old, that was the way of life. You make enough money, you live till the money gone. Then you go get some more.
Tim never remained incarcerated for longer than a 2-year period. However, once he got busted for an armed jewelry store heist, Tim would go on to serve the longest prison sentence of his young life.
Squeeze and I used to be up on 15th Avenue selling drugs. I come home and all the bills was laying out on the bed. I knew I had to go get some money today. Squeeze was a young fella, and him and I was running together. So Squeeze and I went out there, we had our tape and stuff in the bag. So when we walked in, the jeweler had the safe open. So we heard them all behind the counter. And I look up, the white guy coming in the front door. When he saw my face, he knew things out of order. I raised up and I told him, I said, hey man, you need to get out the way or go ahead on. And he turned around and ran out the front door. So I'm getting the jewelry out the safe and whatnot. We decided we leaving. By the time I walked across the parking lot to get to the car, he got his gun shooting. So he hit the car twice as we was leaving the parking lot. And that way they was able to tag them off the car, which was one of the young cousins' car. And that's how they arrested me. I was in Rayford. I was there about 6, 7 years. You asked me what it was like. It was animals. I had turned into a beast. I didn't care. Anytime you around a bunch of guys, somebody gonna try you. And you have to stand when you get tried. All my life, I never was left and right, or we gonna duke it out. I'm gonna split you, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Once Tim got out of prison in the 1980s, cocaine flooded the streets of Miami. Due to his reputation, many people in that industry looked to incorporate Tim into their drug operations. But Tim's mindset of being his own man had not changed in prison. Therefore, instead of dealing with potential dangers of competing with narcotic distributors in Miami, Tim took a different approach.
People started making money with drugs that were guys that we considered, hadn't really made their way. In the old days, you had to make your way. You had to go get your money. You had to make a stand. Those guys started selling drugs. They just had drugs. Somebody gave them drugs, they selling drugs. That's when me and a few of my friends, we started taking it. Robbing the dope man, taking the dope man money.
When he was real bold in a lot of things, and I was the same way. We was two of a kind. Therefore, when you got two guys that had two bullheads and used to being leaders and being not a follower. If anybody has anything to say about him or me, it was going down, something go down.
But then along come the 80s and the cocaine cowboys and the Colombians. That changed the atmosphere in the town. Everybody went to doing the murders and the shootings and taking out the family and all kind of stuff like that. They made plenty of money, and the thing about it, they had so many of our homeboys working for them, lieutenants and the muscles and this and that. And when I came home, 3 or 4 of them had been in prison with me, and they came, come on, man, I'm going to take you to so-and-so, and you could be a lieutenant. No. I don't want that. I'm not going to do that. I never wanted to meet no big man or anything like that, because I've seen them own people. So me and my friends, we started going on the road.
Since Miami was so heavily infiltrated with cocaine, the supply vastly outnumbered the demand. Instead of staying home and fighting for neighborhood territory, Tim, Sonny Boy, and his guys went on the road and spread the large excess supply of cocaine to different cities across the nation. Being from Miami, they were one of the first groups to be labeled as Miami Boys in the different cities that they traveled to.
Anybody come out of Miami and they go to another city, they are labeled Miami Boys. When we were older, you go to a city and you got a street culture and you got certain people in and around that culture that's the splitting image of somebody in another state. So you get kind of used to when you go into a city, go into the subculture, you're going to hear about who the robbers are, who the hustlers are, who the fast ladies are, and you pick and choose who you want to hook up with. Strangely enough, I've learned that people in those times would rather see you succeed than the person they grew up with.
It was like I was recruited. You know, 'cause Oakland is a tough place. Them boys in Oakland, they tough. They don't play, but at the same time, they some of the coolest people you will ever meet. Oakland could swallow you up or it could hold you up, and they choose to held me up.
They would help you. I know that sounds strange and don't fit right, but that's what I've seen. So you make a circle, drop off there. About a week later, you come back, pick up your money, and drop off more.
It's a mutual understanding. You show some love, you'll get some love. And that's the way it was. And that's how I was able to make it. And that's how I'm able to walk around in the streets of Oakland right now today, you know.
The young fellas that followed us, they were the ones that earned the name the Miami Boys. Because when you were young and coming out of the black neighborhood, it's all about your reputation, who you are. And these young guys, these young upstarts, they were establishing their reputation and who they were, and they came hard like that. And that's how that Miami Boy thing stuck, because everywhere they went hard, and people started imitating them.
After serving his final prison sentence, Tim made a promise to himself to never go back. He studied the Bible and finished his clerical education while in prison. He utilized his resources to invest in legitimate businesses, took up golf, and made a promise to God that he would straighten up his life. But during that time of personal growth, life took its toll.
You can't go through life living how we as individuals live and think that you're going to be able to laugh and skip through everything. It's going to be some pain. You're going to have to go through some changes. You're going to have to do some pain. You're going to have to do some regretting. That's the other part of it. Directly, loved one to death would be my oldest son. Overdosed off heroin. My wife told me I walked around in a stupor for about 2 weeks. It really, you don't expect to bury a kid. My dad was killed in a robbery in my store. I had a store that I gave to him and my mom, one of them little mom and pop community stores. And I gave it to him and my mom for, on their retirement from working, so they would have extra income. And somebody came along and robbed and killed him. Calvin, he was 5 years younger than I was. Calvin was very talented and blessed and could do and have just about anything he wanted to have. But unfortunately, he lost his life at an early age to sickness, HIV positive. I think Calvin passed in 2001. I ain't been in prison since 92, 93. Last time I was in prison, I made an oath with the Lord. I said, give me 10 years. And after 10 years, I'll come on in, because I was going to Bible college every time I was in prison. I was learning the spiritual aspects of life as well as dealing with the hands-on part of it that I was doing. And I was living comfortably, Like I told you, I didn't sell dope, but I called the shots on a few things.
I met Tim back in 1965 at Virginia Key Beach, Miami, Florida. It was always a thing that when we did see each other, we would hook up. So if it was one of those periods wherein we weren't kicking it and he fell, I mean, like I wasn't there because I did my own thing and as well. We don't have any birth kids together. He helped me raise my oldest daughter, Tyza. When we both settled down, I wound up raising his son, Rashad, because he was away. We wound up raising his daughter, Christia. And the last was his niece, Precious. We adopted Precious and we raised Precious. So in all, we've raised 4 kids together.
Rashad, he never lived a life of subculture, neighborhood life, anything like that, because we always were living pretty comfortably, and he was raised like that. He used to play high school football, high school basketball, and lead the golf team to the championship, not practicing. That's what type of athlete he was. We was, seeing about getting him off to school a month before graduation. He'd go out and do a thug thing and end up getting a life sentence.
It devastated me. He grew up seeing some of the things that we had done, and we had kind of changed and settled down. And, I guess when kids see what you have done, they have formulate those things in their mind, and he just tried to emulate a former lifestyle that we had led.
That crushed me because I've always been a believer, and I always knew that I was going to end up getting into the ministry. But I told you how I saw America and how America operated. I didn't have no qualms about what I was doing on the other side of the line. But I knew that you can't continue to push it. Because one time you push it, it's not going to be nothing to stand on. You're going to fall. When that happened to Rashad, I looked up and realized it had been 10 years.
I had high hopes of him not going the route that we both had went, and that he would go off to college. He's been gone 14 years now.
When my father died, I never cried. But when that happened to Rashad, I cried and cried and cried. Because I realized how my dad must have felt. I wasn't crying for me, I wasn't crying for Rashad, but I realized how he must have felt because he had went through that stuff with me a time and time again.
I come from a mother that was a hustler, a pop that's a hustler, so that was a hustler business. It would have been time when I ain't had no mama. It would have been time I ain't had no father because both of them was locked up. And then my stepmama, my grandma, they held it down. Yeah, shout out to Lemon too. She don't play. She's the other one. Yeah, Pop. When he ain't around, like you can tell the difference in like you in your life. When he ain't around, things might not be as smooth. But when he around, like when he out of prison, I'm like, yeah, home gonna make a way. You like, your daddy home. You feel me? Man, I done seen more shit. Just being home son, and the niggas gonna see them whole fucking life. Nigga done seen bricks and fucking dope. Nigga done seen millions of dollars like with this nigga. This is what these rap niggas trying to do. Like a nigga was doing that way back when. Watching him do this shit. Yeah, I messed up when I came to prison, but the nigga been gone almost 15 years. And how many family members you think have reached out over that time, but they love me though. Not near time have I ever do anything in life that home done turn you back on me. But I ain't do no crazy stuff like that to family, since you dead kids, fighting, and nigga. Even when I did get in real big trouble with the juvenile or whatever, like home ain't never turned it back on me. That's love. At the end of the day, home love the nigga, he took care of the nigga, he supported the nigga. So. And that's more than what a lot of other black men have had in their life. It's a hell of a man.
Totally, I did 22 years in all. From jail to the stockade, from the stockade to prison, to the state prison. Got back out, went back on another 2 years, 3 years, went back. And the longest bit I did at one time was 9 years. I had some real devastating learning experiences. I lost my father when I was in the joint. And how we were still being put in, we still was in slavery.
That's when I went to Divine Faith. My wife, she joined Divine Faith too, and we've been settled in that community for a while now.
Once he was ordained a minister in 2005. Like his father, Tim continually runs various businesses, serves as a minister at Divine Faith Ministries, and he is the primary patriarch of his entire family.
Cunningham appeared and was immediately involved. I think one time we had a meeting between us about his son. I think his son got in some kind of little trouble. He eventually started training as a minister, which is a big step. You say, I have a calling on my life. He exemplified a very desire and love for the Lord, love for people. He's a family man, and he eventually was licensed as a minister here at the church. He's a tremendous blessing.
He wants to be nice, he wants to be kind. Deep down, I think he still has that jailhouse mentality of yelling and screaming and cussing. I feel like he didn't have a fair chance. You don't have a fair chance when everybody is pointing their fingers or saying, Tim did it, Tim did it.
You know, we used to watch him in church, wanted to dress how he dressed, wanted to walk how he walked. I mean, he was always a cousin from day one.
Tim, I know him real well. Tim is a loving man. He's a no-nonsense man. He always did more for others than he done for himself. He's done a lot in his community, but he was able to overcome his background and provide for people in a different way.
There was certain people that I really got close to. He was one. What made our relationship grow is about him being who he was. He always was outspoken. He'd tell you how you feel. If he had something to say that he didn't agree with, he would tell you. Most cats, they just go along with the program.
We've been married 27 years. It's been a great ride. Look back over some things, probably would have done different, yes, but in all, it's been a good ride.
I don't agree with that. Everybody I know is dead or in jail. I don't agree with that because that's not 100% so. Because if you've been blessed and favored, you're still here. I really believe that God's hand is up, no matter whether it's good or bad or what. I believe God's hand is involved. There's some culpability in everybody's life. Everybody. And when you acknowledge that and you give him the praise and the glory that's due to him, how he'll bless you. We as man can't decide what you could do and what you can't do, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Can't decide that. God didn't save us all us to do the same thing and act the same way. No, I don't buy into that. That's like I first started talking about America. Want everybody to think a certain way, act a certain way. Religion wants you to act a certain way, and I don't buy that. I don't accept that.
I'm not the old person I used to be. I thank God for changing it in my heart now. Love come first, because I'm gonna be of a man of the Holy Spirit, and that comes with love, showing love to each other.
What is God? What is love? Is it just intense affection? Is it the opposite of hate? Or is it all of those things and more? Once a second passes, it becomes a story. Based on your own perspective, is Timothy Brassy Cunningham's life a true love story? Does it exemplify love, fully or partially? If so, in what aspects? And based on your own definition, does your story exemplify love?
Luv Stories, episode 1, Tim Cunningham, shot 2A, take 3.
Yeah, I'd like to take this special time out to apologize to my mother, my family, all my friends.
I was a little shorty. I used to sit out here on the stoops when the high school kids get out of school and they used to be cussing and talking to. I didn't know cussing was wrong. I was like about 4 or 5 years old. And I told my auntie when they passed by, I said, that were the motherfucking brothers there.
Get this book now when it come out. When a man is asleep, the woman is up thinking. What's up, baby? What's up?
I wonder where Little Milk is. If I can find Little Milk. There he is right there. Get my money, nigga. Hey, man. And not only okay, because he done came up on me. Cut the camera off.
Yeah. Anything I ever did to make anybody feel anywhere bad, I like to apologize to you because life is beautiful and it's a new day.
A woman has a plan already in effect. Yeah, she already knows. Her mind don't never stop going. She always thinking. When you talk too much, shut up. When you quiet, baby, what you thinking about?
I want to give a shout out to my boys in East and West Oakland, all my Mexican partners in the East and the West. Everybody keep your head up, stay in the fight, keep it real.